I've got launch control active and we're about to launch in 4.23. That's pretty quick. This is a fun SUV to drive. What is up, Internet world, and welcome to Accelerate. I'm Mike, and this is the all-new BMW X3 M50. So this is the new BMW X3 M50, and it's got a lot of M parts, and some M parts we didn't even ask for as a bonus. So let's talk about the aesthetics of this thing. You've got 1, 2 DRLs, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 projectors, and it says BMW LED right on the headlights. These headlights are nice. They're not overly beautiful, and they kind of match the front look of this thing. Now, the front bumper is not aggressive whatsoever. It does have some cuts and some lines in it, and they are functional, and they go over into the brakes, but aesthetically, it's kind of soft and rounded. Not really M performance based, if you ask me, as far as the grille goes. Now, it is big kidney grille season here at BMW, and of course, you have these big guys, and to embellish them, you have some LEDs around these kidney grills, and I actually like it. I like the front end of this, and I know it's not M-ish, and I know this is the M50 and there's no more eye left, but I actually do like the way this looks, and this sand color kind of puts it all together. So if you want a subtle M BMW X3, then hey, this M50 is kind of it. Now, anyways, this front hood does have some sculpting, very similar to a 4 Series. This like bump here is aggressive. It does have some M3, M4 pieces in terms of aesthetics. You do have your front camera here. No idea why it's not centered. It is what it is. And because this is a mild hybrid, they're trying to push electrification a little bit more by closing off these grills. Now they do open up to let some air flow into this twin power 3-liter that makes a lot of juice. And I will tell you that on the drive. But anyways, moving around the side here, as you come along the side, you will see that these have M wheels, M badging, a lot of flush details, similar to what the BMWs are. There's nothing new about this, but because this is an M, there's no chrome whatsoever. You have black mirror caps, black trim here, black roof rails, all black throughout. And the suspension sits at a good sort of height. These do have winter tires on them, and these are all black wheels. But I will say that aesthetically, it's kind of too round for me. This is an M-Pack. They should add something like a little fin on the side here. I know it's kind of built into the paneling of this thing, and you can see it there. And maybe the color doesn't just pop, but this is a very subtle X3, in my opinion. It's not superly, or super aggressive, I should say. Anyways, let's not forget about the M package, and it does give you the brakes, and this is what I like about BMW. If you look right here, these have blue M brakes, and that is cool. This is an M package. This is not a full M car. It's tidbits of it, remember? Anyways, when the key's in your pocket, you walk up to the car, the door will unlock simply by putting your hand here. It'll go beep, beep, and then of course when you walk away from it, it will lock. That's what I do like about BMW product. The key is very, very smart, and they do have remote start. You just have to hit the controller 3 times at the BMW badge, and the vehicle will start. So that's kind of cool. You don't have to use your mobile app and that stuff. You just use the key, and then the BMW will start. All right, BMW fans, I'm in the 2025 BMW X3 M50, and this makes 393 horsepower and 428 pound-feet of torque out of a 3-liter twin-power turbocharged motor. I'm in sport mode. I've got launch control active, and we're about to launch in 4.23. That's pretty quick. This is a fun SUV to drive. It is exhilarating. It is exciting. It is all the adjectives have to do with keeping you alive and awake. And yes, it does plumb in some sound. Yes, it does have these color, funny things to give you like that spirit of excitement, which is kind of tacky, but on the brakes, on the turn signal. So this BMW rips. This BMW also is interestingly unique in its exterior appearance, but it's so hard to drive this thing soft. It is impossible to drive this thing soft. When you put this thing in sport mode, which I will say is kind of annoying, you gotta press my modes. There's nothing on the steering wheel. There is a boost shifter button, so like on this left side where you hold the negative button down, you hold it down, you get 10 seconds of extra jam, and it says boost right there. Very kind of gimmicky, but you know, it's an M, so they have to add more stuff as opposed to just like they did in the old days, which was like the M Skirt package, you know, some extra brakes, which Audi did not do, I will say. When you got an M Sport package, you got brakes, and you actually got a bump in power at times. With Audi, you don't get that. You get the S-Line package, you get none of that. So yes, but now we're getting a bit gimmicky BMW. This like trim, which is cool over here. Here it looks kind of tacky a little bit in my opinion, but this is cool. You can see this red light. You get these little pieces that are more M Sporty than should be M Sporty. I think they should still stick to cool brakes, cool exterior package, awesome steering wheel. I feel like all this stuff is awesome, but this trim just like waters it down a little bit in my opinion. I think you just went one step too far. Anyways, my ADHD kicked in. Back to the actual drive of this. So I've been driving it for a week now, and it is great. It's a great daily driver. In my opinion, different than the Alpina XB7 that I had last week. That's just too big of a vehicle. This for me is the perfect size. This is the perfect size. The X3 size is perfect. It fits as many people as that, except less one, because this fits 5, that fits 6. That is like 3 times the price. Obviously totally different type of car. This is a great daily driver. You buy this thing, you get in, you press the start button, you rip, you get back in, you put the start button again, you go in efficiency, you cruise. That's how this is designed. It's designed for an everyday driver. It's designed for a family guy that's like, look, honey, we gotta buy a car. You want an SUV, let's buy something like this. It's exciting, it's fun. It is kind of expensive. This is $85,000 Canadian, which is kind of expensive. But I think we've just kind of got off the program of talking about price of vehicles. I think price of vehicles nowadays we're just not talking about anymore. I just think that it's either affordable or not affordable. And I think anything over 50 grand is just starting to become not affordable. Anything under 50 grand is affordable, but then you're like, how many cars do I, like what choices do I have? And I think you have like 10, I think. That's what's left for us. Yeah, it's 10. All right, front seat of the X3. Oh, look at this. See how easy that was for me to get in and out of the car? I love it. I just love that like height. It's got the perfect height for me to jump in, jump out, and that's a thumbs up BMW. Including the steering wheel. I love this steering wheel. It's small, it's compact, it's thick, but it's soft to touch. It's got the 12 o'clock red marker for me. On the bottom it says M here. I got some aluminum pieces on the bottom. I got nice big paddle shifters, including a boost, which is the left one. When I hold the boost down, I get 10 seconds of extra jam. Now, of course, this is an X3, so it's not gonna be powered. It is still manual. It is tilt and telescopic. I've got this cool, fancy trim now. I'll talk more about that on the drive. Now moving into the back here, you can see it is more cut and more aggressive than the front. You've got this upper spoiler that does have this taper into this third brake light. You do have a wiper here. It should be really underneath, not here. Not the biggest fan of that. This is more like X1 style in my opinion, but anyways, BMW badge. And then of course the taillights. I like how they do kind of come out. They're not flush. They do pop out. They are fairly aggressive. And of course, if you're wondering what vehicle this is when you're driving behind it, because you're unsure of what BMW this is, you're not sure if it's a station wagon or what, you're not sure why it's so low. This is more like X1, X2, but it is an X3. Anyways, it is an M50, just letting everybody know. And then you do have a lower valence here that does have some cuts. And then a rear reverse light. That little guy is a reverse light. And then there's this. There are 4 exhausts. Yep, no funky, weird triangular shapes. These are round, they are black. And here's how they sound. So So they have changed a few things with this iDrive 9. Like if you want to get your favorites, you simply just swipe your finger down and you've got a whole bunch of customization you can do for quick favorite buttons. Of course, you do have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. It is wireless, it works really fast, and the graphics are excellent. They're very clean to see. They don't have any sort of weird colors. I love the way BMW does their graphics. It's excellent. And again, it just takes some time to understand. So if you just get a BMW, make sure you get trained fairly well on how everything works, because it is a little bit technical. In the 2025 BMW X50 with a 3-liter twin power turbocharged motor that makes a lot of power. Let's go. And yes, that makes sense because this is the all-new BMW X3, completely new generation, all new. So there we go. When you see this trim in a new BMW X3, you know it is the latest BMW that you are in. That's that. The screen though, it's curved. And the screen is cool and nice and bright and the right pixelation, and the contrast is excellent. Unlike that Alpina. The Alpina, the fact they're using the colors of Alpina in this display, no good. But this is money. It says M right there, it says M right here, it says M right there. I'm just reminded that I'm in an M BMW. So you're paying for the prestige of having the M. I'm not digging it. Okay, so let's see how much room we have in the back of this X3. Now, it's a small little panel that goes up. This tailgate's not very big. There are two buttons here. One is to set the height of it and then of course close it. And then the other one is to hit it and then walk away from the vehicle and it will lock the car. Now, what about underneath this sort of hard parcel shelf? What is going on? There is what should be a spare tire, but there is not. I'm assuming this does have run flats. Now, these are in winter, so I can't tell. Now, this thing here is pretty strong and sturdy, so it should hold a decent amount of weight. There are no buttons or no pull flaps to put the seats down. You have to actually go into the back doors to do that. But it does have a 40, 20, 40 split. And yeah, just have a bit of grip here, but again, not the largest trunk. You do have a tonneau cover here, but sort of similar to an Audi Q5. This is very similar. They're all kind of the same space, you know, in terms of size. It feels a little bit tight. It doesn't feel as big as an X3 as I would have imagined. This seems sort of like they're getting a bit smaller, especially like when looking at it. So anyways, let me show you the back seats. So back seat of the BMW X3. Now, getting inside, pretty straightforward stuff. This is very typical BMW. This is a little bit more edgy though, these seats. Normally they're a bit more like bench-like. So this does have some contour. Again, I'm not sure because this is an X50 and this is just specifically designed for this. I have not reviewed the regular one. This is my first time of touching an X3. But it's all new to me. Now, of course, you have all the BMW stitching, the light blue, the dark blue, and then of course the red. And you can see that it's apparent throughout the vehicle. They're really pushing that. And that's usually the case with the M product, at least the M style product. Now, sitting back here, I do have this little flap. That is where you put in your screens. I don't expect anybody to spend the money on the screens because it's just gonna be so in your face, so tight. You can see the stitching here. And I like these seats. They don't really block all the view in front of me. And I have this massive big sunroof that doesn't do anything besides just give you light, which I guess makes sense in today's world because nobody probably uses a sunroof, and they probably ask their clients, hey, how often do you actually use your sunroof? They're like, I like the light, but I don't actually open it up for air. Anyways, let me close this door and tell you all about this door panel. This has Harman Kardon. This handle is the opposite of what I would expect, but it's made from some sort of metal. It doesn't feel plasticky whatsoever. It feels quality. This door, though, it feels small. This feels just very compact. It doesn't feel large, which is weird because this is built in the US and you'd expect it to be more bigger, larger, you know, but it's not. Anyways, you do get sunshades right here to block out the people you don't want to see. You do have a decent amount of space here for storage and then a cup holder. And then you have some ambient lighting that comes right where the handle is here. This is in blue right now. It's just the way the vehicle's set because it's in sport. I do have vents here, and this matches the front. It's very like funky and unique, and I do have a little panel here that gives me my options for heated seats, and there are 3 increments of heated seats down here, and then my HVAC controls, and I can set where I want the temperature to be, and then 2 USB-Cs underneath that. So come take a look. But anyways, here we are in this BMW M50. The color, what do you guys think about this color? It's like a sand color. I'm not going to refer to car colors anymore because I feel like people are just going to go pick their own color. So let's just call it like what it is to your eyes. This is like a sand color, like a camel desert sand color. Not a huge fan of the back end though. I feel like it rounds off a bit too much. It's really flat looking. The front, sick. Side, sick, sort of. The back, not so much. Interior, sick. Very clean, very modern, very futuristic. When I got the keys, I opened this up, I'm like, wow, this is like extremely futuristic. And I know I was dogging on this door part of the trim, but this part right here is clean. It's money. The screen is solid. When I hold it and I press like that, it doesn't have any flex. It feels good. Just very, very simple and futuristic. Now, I've had my parents in here the other day, and they're like, they didn't even know what car they were in. They thought they were in like another manufacturer. I'm not gonna say the name, but it wasn't as premium and German as they were thinking. I was like, no, Mom, this is an X3. She's like, what? This is a BMW? She's like, this looks like a, and I'm like, I know. It's because everything is becoming so futuristic that nobody can really decipher what's what anymore. Some brands hold they're true to their style, but this does not look like a BMW. And that is because this is the all new X3, and I'm late to the party. Guys have reviewed this already like tons and tons and tons of times over the last 4 months, and that's okay because I want everybody else to do it and I just feel how this is to drive every day, because I get cars for a week, and that's a long time to commit to a vehicle because I get all kinds of stuff thrown at me, which is why I kind of only stick into Porsches nowadays because they're fun as hell, and BMWs and Mercedes. I still stick to the Germans. The German product is still my favorite. I like domestic stuff when it comes to big, heavy, huge trucks, but I love German stuff all across the board. I find that German products just amazing all across the board. At any level, it's gonna fit. It's gonna pick the proper like checkbox. And BMWs just still kill it when it comes to the drive. The drive, it's like they know how to do things right. Ding. Now it says X3 everywhere. So the door panel says X3 on this side as well as that side. It's got this real sort of handle, which I do like, but then this weird thing about these vents. These vents are controlled right here. BMW's sort of adapted a 0 to 1 philosophy here when it comes to their venting. And it's like you can choose between 0 and anywhere in between 1 to give you a certain amount of airflow. And it's kind of a weird thing. I don't know whoever thought about that. Well, it is what it is. Now, when I'm looking outside though, I can see these M badge or M mirrors, and they're funky, and they've used these for a couple years, and I do really like it. They look really aggressive, so when I'm driving it, I look over, I like all the cuts in the mirror. Now, this does have carbon carbon, an excellent sound system. I've had this car for a week now, and I will tell you that this sound system, the way it's built, the way it's designed, is really, really good. Now, we don't really talk about audio on this channel, but I'm going to start doing that a little bit more because I really love listening to tunes all the time. The problem with YouTube is I cannot play music and tell you guys how the sound sounds like because we are copyrighted, and then we don't get monetization, which means I don't get paid, which means I can't put gas in it, which means this channel is over. Now back to the door panel. I have 2 adjustments for memory seat. I do have a good amount of storage here in the door panel, a little bit more than I do in the back. And then I have a button to open and close the trunk. And I like the fact that it's here on the little armrest on my left elbow here and not hiding underneath here. So I can open and close it by simply hitting this button. Now, you can't just pull it. You actually push this one down. And that's not normal for BMW or pretty much any other German product. It's always just a one-way switch. But this one is a push or a pull up, and then it opens or closes the trunk lid. Now, everything else here is straightforward. I do have a camera on the inside here, which is sort of unique. You generally don't see cameras on the inside, especially when something's so small. You'd see it on sort of a bigger vehicle like the X7. You'd see it so you can see everybody in the cabin. In this specific case, it's just for me, the driver, and obviously the people in the back. Now, this does have the upgraded BMW iDrive, and some people love it and some people hate it. I actually don't mind it because the technology is right up there. It's the newest, latest, greatest. You've got to really know BMW product and spend some time with it to understand how this works because there's a lot there. Now, under this curved screen, it is 12.3 and 14.9. There's no piano black. Well, there is, but it's very, very small. So they've kind of replaced it with this sort of titanium satin finish, which is really good, as opposed to just using piano black over and over and over. They do have, again, the 0 to 1 thing like I talked about right here on this vent and this vent. That's the only real physical button up here. Everything else is sort of here in the iDrive controls. And underneath that, you do have your vents. So the vents do have a manual sort of adjustment here. You don't have to do it any other way. It's done right here, left, right, up, down. And then underneath here, you do have this big open area where you can put your phone to charge. So the left side is for charging. The right side is simply just to hold your phone. You do have 2 USB-Cs there and a nice big M logo to remind you that you're in an M style or M type car. Then you have this piece that goes around. This is again the ambient lighting. When you put your phone here, it does this really cool like display or dancing light thing, let you know that your phone is actually charging in case you don't hear it. And that's kind of a cool little thing. A little gimme trick, but it is what it is. You do have two cup holders here, and this cup holder has a little bump here, so it kind of holds. It's really designed for, I think, like pop cans or something. As far as coffee goes, it doesn't seem to be able to come out so easily, but Coke cans or bottles of water goes in, goes out very, very easy. Moving down here, this is where the xDrive party happens. There's your start and stop button, of course, to put it in drive, your electromechanical parking brake, your hold, your stop hold. So when you come to a traffic light, you simply just press the brakes, take your foot off the brake, and the car will still stand and not move until, of course, you hit the gas. On the right-hand side, you do have all your media, telephone, nav, your volume controls, and then basically your xDrive controller, so you can adjust and tune everything the way you want it to on the screen. Now, the one thing I will say that's kind of annoying, and this is a BMW and it shouldn't be this way, is your drive modes. Your drive modes are done down here under My Modes, and that's kind of annoying. You'd want it on the steering wheel where you have one button you can just hit and bang, you're in sport mode. They don't have that. You've got to hit My Modes, and then this pops up, and then you hit Sport, and then you got to activate the Sport, and then your exhaust flappers come on. You get some extra plumbed-in sound here. And sometimes under low revs, the plumbed-in sound sort of happens after the actual exhaust, which is sort of odd. But that's the one thing I would definitely change here. This is an M car, and that should have some sort of adjustment here for your drive modes. I know you have your boost mode, so when you hit it in boost, it goes into sport right away, but it should just be a little bit easier and something you can actually play with, especially because this is an M car for the 10th time. Now, what about how much storage you have here? This armrest is nice and soft, but also feels firm at the same time. I lift this up, and I have a decent amount of storage here, and I do have a spot to put in my 12 volt, and that's that. There's no USB-Cs here. The USB-Cs are up there, and then you got two in the back. So you got 4 in total as far as USB-Cs go. So I want to incorporate some night driving here, especially with this ambient lighting and changing lanes on the highway. So I'm simply just gonna hit this My Modes button, and then I'm gonna hit Sport, and then activate Sport. I'm gonna move over here to the right side. And you can see everything becomes red here, and it's really, really exciting and exhilarating to see this color. Now it's super red. It does get some plumbed-in sound. This heads-up display is very easy to use, and I can adjust it any which way I'd like to. I don't know if you guys can see from back there, but I will pull it up on the screen here so you can see the differences. But listen to this sound under full throttle here. Listen to this thing. It is very aggressive, and it plumbs in perfectly. It's not overly loud. It just gives you that adrenaline feeling, and it looks super cool at night. Like, look at this graphics, man. Look at these graphics. They're absolutely beautiful to look at. So there are two different cruise control modes here. One is called assisted driving, and one is called distance control. So distance control is just simply keeping, obviously the car in front of you at a certain distance, and assisted driving is where it keeps you in your lane, but also changes lanes for you. So now I'm going to indicate to my right here. So I indicate, and it shows me that it's moving over. My hands are completely off the steering wheel. It puts me in the lane. It's super fast, just like that XB7 Alpina I drove. This is an excellent system. Changing lanes in a BMW is really, really fast when it comes to cruise control. So it is, yeah, it's an engaging drive, obviously, but if you wanted to use cruise control, it works excellent. So I'm gonna go right here again. It's gonna see what it's gonna do. Okay, it's changing lanes, and you have these amber colors on the steering wheel. It means put my hands on the steering wheel, and then it's good. So now I'm gonna obviously hit the brakes, or maybe I won't. I'll just pretend that I'm going to turn, and look at that, it's excellent. Oh, it knows that there's a turn coming. It's actually on the brakes here without me doing anything. I am physically turning. Yep, it's giving me a thumbs up, and high beaming automatically because I have my auto high beams on. Left back again. Will it turn? Nope. I gotta turn this for me. So again, it'll work in probably some specific situations. If you're driving fairly aggressive, it's not gonna know exactly where you want to turn. It'll be a bit wonky. But all in all, as you can see on the highway, it turns pretty straightforward, and it gives you all the indications of what it's going to do next right on this screen in front of me. So I'm going to jump back on the highway. I'm going to get some visuals for you for this center screen so you can see what I was seeing. I don't know if you guys can see it back there, but I will give you a better visual. All right, so just to show you guys what a night launch looks like, you can see the heads-up display there, and you can see the display in front of me. Foot on the brakes, foot on the gas. It says launch control active, and let's go. You can see the high beams go on there, and that's that. So this is what the display looks like with launch control at night. Foot on the brakes, foot on the gas, launch control active. Now, that's important, that looks super cool, but what's also important is the heads-up display and how it appears. Now this is important, but what's more important is this heads-up display. I can adjust a lot of different things here. As you can see, there's something called assisted view right in front of me. Then I've got directional view, standard view, and I go right back up to sport view. So this is a pretty cool setup. And then I have something called reduced view, which gives you like less data, but this sport view is awesome, especially under load. You can see those little M-colored RPMs just rise up when I'm blasting up and down the street here.